Hello guys, welcome to this lesson. We continue with Najdorf move 6 for white, bishop d3. Already we have seen many rare options for black as e6, g6 and some other moves. Now we are continuing with the main move, the most popular and probably the best one, the move e5, the typical Najdorf move. So this is the idea of bishop d3 after e5 to go knight e2. So this is the move. And here black has different move orders. Usually black starts with bishop e7 and only after castle normally black goes or short castle or bishop e6. Of course black has some other options here instead of bishop e7. In this particular lesson we're gonna see very rare options as knight bd7, queen c7 and b5. Another moves that we will see in the next lessons are bishop e6 immediately or knight c6. Bishop e6 is very similar to bishop e7, but it's a little bit different as well. So this we will see in the next lessons. In this lesson we will continue with some rare moves, move 7. So let's start with the move queen c7. I think doesn't make a lot of sense this move, although it's typical Sicilian move. Now the problem of this move is that white can start with bishop g5. Of course we can go castle or something, but bishop g5 already makes sense because we are attacking the knight and we want to take and to play knight d5. For example, with bishop e7 this is definitely in white's favor. So that's why after bishop g5 he must go knight bd7. And now the problem is he couldn't play bishop e6 before, and now the bishop is a bit stuck there on c8. So we can go actually here probably castle, and after b5 even sometimes white has these ideas to go b4 and then a4. But in this particular case already we can even prevent b5, we can play e4. I don't see anything wrong with that. Bishop e7, let's say h6, bishop e3 is very similar to the main line. So let's say bishop e7, we go knight g3, try and go ready to place the knight on f5. For example, if knight c5, the problem is we can take a knight d5. Black needs to lose a 10 piece, and this is definitely in white's favor. We are controlling the white squares. Eventually we can block this pawn by a5. I think white has a very nice positional advantage. So after knight g3, h6 looks logical. We don't want to exchange now the bishop because he will take with the knight, and he is sort of controlling these important squares. So after h6, I think the best is bishop e3, knight c5, because otherwise knight a5 is coming. And after knight c5, I think already short castle, and a5. a5 is a typical move. We want to fix these pawns, to have this control over the b6 square. And I think here white has simply positional type of advantage. This exchange is all the time very bad for black because we'll take with the pawn, we'll control the c5, we'll have this bishop b6, eventually maybe d4 as well. And black has pair of bishops, but he has a lot of weak squares, so this gives white clear advantage. So after a5, bishop e6 is logical, and already we can play bishop e2. The idea is not only to escape from the exchange, actually we are not afraid of the exchange, but we want to maybe place the bishop on f3 eventually to protect this pawn and to control all these important white squares. For example, if queen c6, bishop f3, we protect everything, he never can go d5, actually we are threatening also knight d5. So after bishop e2, b5 looks logical to open the position. And it seems that black has counterplay, but actually it's not so obvious. I think white is better after knight d5, it's very concrete. Of course, if he takes with the bishop, then we will have this knight f5 ideas. So he must take with the knight, going back, knight e4. And it's obvious that white should be better. So now, for example, this is very bad because of bishop c5 and then d6. Eventually we want to take there, and white has a very strong pawn. It looks very unpleasant. And if he goes bishop f5, I think this is the best defense. Now we must take with the knight. Maybe b3 is an option, but rook e2 is also good. a5, queen d2. We have very stable advantage thanks to this passed pawn, and he has these weaknesses. Our bishops are very solid, and Maybe it's not so clear, but it's definitely white is better and it's one-sided game. I think black needs to defend the rest of the game. So this about this queen c7, it's possible, but it gives white very easy and comfortable game. So after knight d2, maybe another option is the move b5, which is a little bit premature. I mean, normally to play so early b5 is not so great, because black still didn't develop his bishop and he didn't castle. And now the problem is, of course, we will go bishop g5, trying to fight for the square. He has a couple of different moves like knight d7, bishop b7, bishop b7. So if he goes bishop b7, I think the problem is a4, of course. We want to provoke some actions on the queen side. If he takes this structure, it's very good for white. We have very good options here, probably a couple of different options, but the easiest one is just to take with the rook, knight d5, and just to control this d5 square. And we have a fantastic Sveshnikov type of position. This pawn will be hanging, and after knight c5 we can simply go back, eventually castle, queen on e2, even some b4 maybe ideas, or bishop to c4. White's position is quite easy, we control everything, and black is completely paralyzed. And after a4, if he goes for b4, then we take knight d5, here a5, fixing this square, rook b8, c3, and this is clearly in white's favor. White is just much better. For example, now rook b2 is almost losing after castle, queen c1. Here I think this is simply losing, knight d5. Here it's not winning material by force, but white is controlling everything thanks to this knight. Now the threat is queen c8, these pawns are hanging, the rook is awkward. The engines already suggest white is winning here, but we have so many active pieces that black is completely paralyzed. And if we take this pawn on a6, then the game will be over. So this is about bishop b7. Another option is bishop b7. Doesn't change much. Maybe now we can take castle and then eventually a4, because the queen on f6 is a little bit awkward. But also we can play the same like the previous line. We can go a4, take here, take. And now we open this queen side, and we have fantastic bishop. This pawn will be hanging thanks to queen e2, maybe a5, b4, it's an option as well. White has a serious positional advantage thanks to our pair of bishops, especially the white square one. So after bishop g5, more logical is knight d7, trying to take back with the knight to control this square. But in any case, we go a4, b takes, or b4. If he takes, we have still a couple of different options. Already maybe makes sense to take with a knight, even c4, castle. And we control this square, very important, and white is just, white has better pawn structure. White is clearly better. And after a4, b4, it's similar like the previous lines. We go here. Now we don't want to take on b4, it's an awkward move because the knight will be not very well placed. I think the best is just to take castle, bishop b7. And here is a very interesting moment. For example, knight g3 is still advantage. Black has some weaknesses. But for some reason here the best is bishop f6, and actually it's just a clear advantage. The point is that queen e1 is the idea, and it's very difficult to protect this pawn. For example, if he goes queen a5, c3, and then b4, it's very good. Obviously this is winning a piece. And if he goes queen c7, this is just a very good positional advantage. This pawn structure is fantastic. He has this weak square, this bishop is very passive. I mean, white is very looking very good here. So after queen e1, if he goes a5, c3, obviously we can give this check. I think it's very similar to the main line. It's still advantage. So we can do the same. Castle doesn't matter, he will castle, because anyway we want to go bishop c4, b3. And we simply want to control this square. The rook will come to d1, the queen here. This is fantastic Sveshnikov type of position. I think white is just much better thanks to our very strong bishop in control of the d5 square. And also b5 and f5, all these white squares are controlled. So this about b5, I think is a little bit premature to go b5. Very risky, definitely. So after knight e2, another rare move is knight bd7, preparing all this b5. Maybe we can go something else, but I think castle is still okay. So now he has some options, bishop b7 or b5. If b5 immediately, or knight c5 is also an option. Knight c5, let's start with this move. I don't like it very much because we go bishop g5. We just control the d5 square and we'll have this typical position, but this is just a much better version for white. We just want to block this square. Eventually we can even push b4 or knight b6, then knight c d5. This is very typical idea, and then we can push b4 c4. I think white is just probably slightly but very pleasantly better. So after castle, b5 is once again a bit risky. Now we have two options. One is to go a4. Before, now knight d5 is not the same. We must go back, trying to attack this pawn. d5, because a5, c3 white should be better. But d5 is interesting. We take here. And this is also very risky for black because he still didn't develop, and of course the position is complicated, but according to engines, white is better. And I think we have better practical chances because we want to go even c3 sometimes. Bishop b7 is not easy because of knight f5. I think black has a lot of concrete problems. But even better in my opinion is to play b4, which is very typical move in these sort of positions. We want to prepare a4, we want to control the square, and black seems to be worse here. Bishop b7, knight g3. According to computers, maybe a4, including a4 and then knight g3 is also interesting, but knight g3 is more human. We want to prepare for some knight f5, we want to play a4 next. I think white has good initiative. So here black has many moves, but it's not obvious how to play. Obviously bishop b7 is met by knight f5, so he needs to prepare that. For example, if he goes d5 immediately, this is just terrible. We take. Obviously d5 bishop b4 is not so clear, but knight d5 is the move. Take. This is the game Sviert Robert Hess played in chess.com 2020. Black played knight f6, but the position is already hopeless. For example, if bishop d5, we simply go a4. And black is in big trouble. Take. Obviously, if he takes here, queen g4 with some double attack, he must go bishop f8, but this looks terrible. We can take on b5, we can go bishop g5. And if he takes here, this is just much better. I think white is nearly winning because he is completely undeveloped and white has serious initiative. Another option here was bishop b4, but still queen here, going back, bishop g5. It looks like crashing. White is just winning probably. So in that game, black played knight f6, but this doesn't help. So after c4, take. White was much better, probably winning already because simply black didn't develop. Rook d1, bishop b2 is coming, knight f5. All the pieces are just entering, and I think black is nearly lost here. So d5 is premature, but what else? For example, if he goes h5, then we can bring the knight to e3 to control the square and then eventually to push a4. Queen c7 or rook c8 doesn't help. We go bishop d2 in both cases and there is no clear follow-up for black. So probably the best option is g6 to control the square, to try to simply develop his pieces. Then we go a4, take. And now it's a very interesting moment. We can play everything. We can go rook a4, we have some options. But clearly the best move is h3, which is kind of strange, but there is clear idea. I will try to show you what is the point. We want eventually to take on a4 and simply bishop 3. The idea is that we want to prevent this h5 idea at h4. And after rook e1, h4, we will have knight f1. And black will not have these h3 ideas. So h3 basically is just prophylactic move, and why not? We want to control the square, eventually to place the bishop here. So h3 is always very useful move. For example, if he goes queen c7 here, we simply take with the knight. d5. It looks like not so clear, but actually white is nearly winning after bishop e4. Black's pieces are still didn't develop, and we have fantastic initiative. Here, obviously, there are some ideas. This is hanging. There has some other options, but it seems that white is much better. For example, if he goes here, we go c4, and suddenly black is under serious pressure. For example, if knight b4, we take rook e1, and this is just crashing, threatening knight d6 maybe. If he goes knight e4, we simply take, and then we are threatening some knight f6 check. If he goes queen c4, the idea is knight b6. And this is also winning, attacking the knight, threatening the pawn, threatening bishop c6. So c4 is fantastic resource. Another option is to go knight 5 to f6, then we take bishop g5, still clear advantage. Another option here is knight takes b4, then we go c3. The idea is if he takes first, then we have this bishop g5, cutting the king, threatening knight f6. If bishop b7, queen d5 is winning. The idea is if bishop g5, knight d6 is coming, and white is just crashing here. Some f4 might come in the future, and the game is almost over. So here after c3, the only move is knight c6, rook b1. It's obvious that black is just not on time here. For example, bishop b7, queen f3, threatening rook b7, rook d1. There are too many threats. After castle, already white is winning by force after knight f5. Rook d7, it's typical tactical motive, check, and queen h5, and black cannot prevent the mate. So here after rook b1, rook b8 is the only move, but still after bishop b3, knight b6. I continued more here because I wanted to show it till the end, but already it looks terrible. I mean, you can stop already. In a practical game, it looks like white is much better. Still black can defend though, it's not so simple. Take, queen c8. Here, queen a4, f5. He needs to be very accurate, rook b7. It's very forcing line, queen e4. And now the only move is rook d7. Take, check. So now we will end up in some positions with pawn up for white. If f8-3 take, white is just clear pawn up. And if fg3 is similar, I'm not sure if it's winning objectively, but it's definitely big advantage, and probably in a practical game it's even winning. So this was about queen c7. Another option is h5. Then this is the idea of h3, rook e1, knight f1. We want to bring back the knight to e3. So he must go d5, otherwise we simply go knight e3, we take there, and white is just much better. So he must go d5, but then we take, and the position is still hopeless. After bishop d5, for example, this is not clear probably, but bishop f5 is the move. Obviously this is in white's favor. And after bishop c6, I think white is winning here, and bishop g5, threatening bishop f6 next. White is just winning. So after e5, bishop b4 is logical, then bishop d2, bishop c5. If he exchanges the bishops, we take. The next move is c4, and we will have these fantastic passed pawns. So he must take, but then after bishop f5 is still a very hopeless position for black. This is obviously bad. Knight c5 is queen c3, and here is simply queen d6. White is just winning. So here he must go bishop c5, but then we go c4. We have already very good positional advantage. Here bishop b4, and eventually we will simply take and take on a3. Thanks to these pawns, the knight will come to e3. I think white is clearly better, that's without any question. So this was about b5. I really like this b4 motif. It's very typical in this type of positions. So now we're moving after castle to the move bishop e7. Now we go knight g3 already here, because otherwise if g6, we can even go bishop h6, and he cannot castle. If he goes castles, then knight f5, and this is very easy position for white. We're threatening f4, and this pin is very, very unpleasant. So after knight g3, he must go here. Now we have some options. We can go rook e1, we can go something else, a4 maybe, but I already like to prevent this exchange, and also to bring maybe the bishop to f3 in some cases. Bishop e6, castle a4 is very similar. Let's say bishop e6, a4. So now he goes castles. If he goes d5, I think white keeps the pressure after we exchange everything. And knight f5. He must go back to protect this pawn. We go knight 3. And this is clearly in white's favor. I'm not sure how much better it is, but it's definitely better because after some f5 we will go knight to d5. The pawn will come here. And I think white is better because at some point he will need to give up one of these bishops after we play knight d5. White's position is definitely much easier to be played as well. So I think d5 is a little bit too early, probably castle is better. But now the problem is we will go b4. He must go back, knight d5. a5 is also typical to fix these pawns, but in this case knight d5 is even better. Take, take. The only idea is to go a5 because otherwise we will push a5, c4, and we will have fantastic pawns on the queen side. Thanks to the pair of bishops, this knight also on g3 is fantastically placed now. Normally the knight stays on f3, but here it's just much better. So white is clearly better in this position. The only way is to go a5, but then we will take, if rook e5, bishop b5 is similar. If knight c5 here, maybe knight a5 is as well good, but bishop b5, the bishop there is untouchable, knight a5. And this is a big advantage. Actually, this was the game Samur Brown played in Chandler 1997. White was already much better. In the game, black played knight a4, and actually he made a draw very shortly because white didn't play the best way. After bishop a4, b5, white played c4 and the game was not clear. But here white had a tactical shot after bishop h6, white is just winning. He must take this bishop, then we go here with the idea queen g3. And the position is hopeless. For example, after knight d5, we simply take there, knight f4, check, queen f5. So now this is a little bit tricky because if we take on a5, then queen b7, and the only defense is f3 and then queen b6 check. But here after queen e7, the simple move bishop d3, threatening mate, knight d3 and then rook e5, and white is just winning. So basically this is about these rare moves. I think they're not very critical. I just want to show you because like this you know how to handle the positions better. But in any case, knight d7, bishop, queen c7 or b5 are a little bit risky and worse definitely for black. So thank you for watching this lesson, guys, and see you in the next ones. Thank you.